We're here to talk about the new look for Infinite Campus for special education documents. And I'm going to go through a PowerPoint to begin, and then I'm going to open up the actual documents within Infinite Campus and walk you through them. So because I'm recording this, if you can enter your questions in the chat, and then I will come back to them at the end to answer any questions that you might have, but please feel free to ask questions. Okay, so the old version of Infinite Campus is called 4.0, and that's actually what we're currently using for Infinite Campus as a whole. The current interface is known as 4.0. I never knew that until we started looking at the updates, but that's what it's called. And so the new interface is going to be known as Elements. And so if you hear us refer to Elements, that's what we're talking about. So for one second. Okay. I'm going to turn off my camera so you can see the slides a little bit better. Okay. So what we did, because I don't use this every day, we have a group of special education directors and some IC specialists that use Infinite Campus on a regular basis. So we formed a group called the Special Education Advisory Group for Infinite Campus, or otherwise known as CEGIC. And we have asked them to sort of provide us updates for any changes that occur. So they've really worked hard on this over the last school year. They've met twice a week, or I'm sorry, not twice a week, twice a month during the school year to really sort of go through and provide feedback on what's been happening, on what's going to be updated. So this update went into effect in June. And so far it's been good. I really like the look of it. I know it's going to take some getting used to, but I feel like there are some real benefits to the way we've gotten this, the way they've set this up. So let's talk about it. What is not changing? The printed documents have not changed. So you don't need to worry about that. There are a few minor changes like grammar corrections, punctuation corrections, those sorts of things that have been updated. In the learner characteristics inventory, we made some changes to just make sure the disability categories align with the disability categories throughout the rest of the IEP, but everything else looks the same. And no data entry validations were removed at all. So what is changing? It's a totally new look. I don't know how many of you have been in it, but it looks different. It's kind of a cleaner look, I think. Anything where they had checkboxes like yes, no, or any other kind of checkboxes, they changed them to drop-down menus to save space on the page. Each document has a landing page each document has a landing page that has a list of the editors, and it has like status pills next to the editor, which basically just means if it's not started, it's going to be black. If it's in progress, it'll be blue. Completed is green, or not needed is green. And so, I'm sorry. All editors must be marked either complete or not needed before a document can be locked. Buttons were moved from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is, because it's how we're used to it. So once you get used to it, it'll be fine. But it does take some getting used to. Required fields, they used to be labeled in red, and now they have an asterisk instead of the red text. So these are the documents that were updated. We've got the referral, the consent for evaluation, the conference summary, the evaluation eligibility determination, and the IEP. And I'm going to go through and kind of hit highlights for each one of these for you. So this is what the editors, the landing page looks like. So it'll give each editor and then say it's in progress or not started. It'll say who it's modified by and who it's completed by. This is sort of a screenshot of what one of the editors looks like. So you notice we used to have the buttons up at the very top. Now we have them at the very bottom. So we have save, refresh, cancel, complete. We have all these navigation buttons and everything. So multiple users, only one user at a time can actively work on an editor. This was by request from the field. People were losing information. If two people were working in the same editor at the same time, maybe, from far away or whatever, from, when they're working from home, they were working in the same editor, and one person would get to save their information and the other would lose everything they just entered. So, and that was very frustrating for a lot of people. So we have this editor. So there will be a little padlock icon, and it'll tell you if you mouse over it who is in there. And once you get out, once that person gets out, somebody else can get in. The people that are not editing can always get in for read-only purpose. So you can always get in and see what's going on, but you can't get in to edit. So these are some resources that are available, and I will be sending out this training next week. So you'll have this link available to you, but this is our special education resources for using Infinite Campus. And it has all kinds of information on it. It's got our new data standards. They've been updated, our training videos, training PowerPoint. So this is where I will be posting this once it gets updated. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and list my email address here. All the directors of special education know how to get a hold of me because they get emails from me about once a week and sometimes several times a day, depending on the time of year. So they know how to get a hold of me, but if anybody needs me, this is how you do it. So bring up the forms. So this is my fake student that I've created. And so to get into the special education forms, it looks exactly the same. You go to general, you go to documents, and my internet is being really slow today. And so you would click new document. So this all looks the same. And I'm just going to walk through the IEP because I think this is the one that most people use on a regular basis. So. Okay. So this is what the editor looks like. It does look a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. They used to be sort of on the left-hand side, and then you saw the actual editor on the right. This tells us none of this has been started. I am going to click on the education plan. No matter which editor you start on here in any of the documents, if you start somewhere else, it's going to tell you you have to go back to the first screen, to the first editor, because there are some required elements that need to be completed. So I'm going to create this. And again, notice The start date, the meeting date, the start date, and the end date are auto-populated. They can be changed. The date of eligibility determination has been populated here. That's because I created, I'm going to show you. And I'm in a staging site, so things don't always work the way they should. But so it says calendar not found because I'm in the 22-23 school year, and the 23-24 school year is the live one now, but it's just how it works. So I went ahead and created the Kentucky Evaluation Eligibility Determination document. So this student is marked as with a specific learning disability and date of eligibility determination. So that pulled directly into the IEP. Something I do want to say up front is that I am not teaching you how to create an IEP. I am showing you for demonstration purposes. So don't, I am not talking about IEP development. I'm just showing you the forms themselves. So here's the education plan, and I'm in here. So that's where the date of eligibility determination pulled from the evaluation document. So down here, I have 3 options. I can do save and stay, I can do save, or I can do save and next. And I did save and stay earlier, so that just takes me here. Just leaves me right here where I am. If I do save and next, it'll save it and take me to the next editor. So anytime you see an editor with refresh on the bottom, click refresh. Now, normally what's going to happen, especially this time of year, it's going to ask you it'll pop up on the left-hand side and ask you which year of enrollment you want to use. Right now, it's not doing that because I'm in staging, but it'll usually do that. So refresh basically just pulls in all the information from Infinite Campus that may have been updated in the past. One thing I do want to show you is if I am zoomed, which I usually do, because I'm usually presenting something, but if I'm zoomed, notice what happens down here. I'm missing my next and back buttons. That just happens, and I'm pretty sure it happens in every browser. So if you don't have the next and back buttons, you just need to change your zoom to go back to, usually it's 100%. This one allowed me to do it at 125%, which is nice. So I can make it bigger for you all. But yeah, so that's how that works. Over here, we've got print, and that just gives you a print preview. If I click on editors, it'll pop up all the editors over here on the right. It's the same thing as if I click cancel, it'll take me to, if I click cancel, I'll show you. It'll take me back to the main screen. And previous and next help you navigate between the editors. So again, I have save, save and next, or save and stay. If I do save, it will save the editor and take me back to the landing page. It says modified by Melissa Callahan. Apparently I'm Melissa Callahan when I'm in staging. So that's why it says that. Normally it would say Amy Patterson or whoever it is that's using it. But because I'm in a staging site or demonstration, apparently I'm logged in as somebody else. So I can go to enrollment information. So here, if I click refresh, for some reason, if I were not in staging, the primary disability would pop up right here. It didn't work because I'm in staging, but that's what would happen. And so this is where you're going to set your special ed status and your special ed setting. Remember, these are very important. It should pop up with all the district information as well. Okay. Now I can click complete as I go. If I click complete, then everything is grayed out. But if I need to go back and make a change, I can click in progress and it'll let me go back and make a change. And you do have to save it every time you make a change. Okay. Again, your district would prefer that you click refresh every time. I think if you click it once, and you'll have to, once you get used to this, you'll find out, but I think if you click it once within the document, it'll refresh all of the editors that have refresh on them, but I wouldn't trust that until you've tested it out. Okay, so present levels. If I try to complete this, it tells me I can't because there's a requirement here. So I will go down here and I will check. I'm just putting in information. Actually, I'm not putting in information. I'm putting in junk. But normally you would be putting in information. And then I'm going to say check all areas of need is identified. So instruction and related services, you can put in comments down here, and then you can save and next. Okay. So this document, you can mark it not needed. If the children, if the student is not age 14 or older, you can mark it not needed. Or you can check whatever you need. If you want to type other, check other, and that checkbox will appear. And then this one is required. Do transition service needs, focus on the child's course of study. Say yes. And then I'm going to save and complete. Okay, post-secondary goals. Now this one is a little bit different because it has the new button. So let me show you how that works. If I click new, I can create a post-secondary goal. And this is kind of cool. When I start typing, the student's goal is to go to college to be able to be a teacher. Now, down here, notice what it did, and I can't show it all on the screen, but it created this statement for you. Oh, and I don't need to put the period. Sorry. After high school, fake student's goal is to go to college to be able to be a teacher. And then I can add transition services and agency responsibility if I want. And we still have our what do you call these, menus or whatever, template answers that you can use if you want. And then, so here, if I click save and stay, my options are save and stay, save and next, or save and new. So if I click save and stay, it'll keep me right where I am. And if I don't like it, I can click delete. Or I can select save, and if I select save, it'll take me back to sort of the landing page just for post-secondary goals and services. So I'll do independent living after graduation. A student's goal is to live in an apartment. So there you go. And then if I do save and new, it'll save that and then give me another one to work on, another education training. So the student's goal is to work at a daycare. Okay. So then I save, it takes me back to here, and I can complete. Again, this one can be marked not needed if the student is not old enough to need that. This one can be marked not needed for certain ages as well. But you've got an add button down here, so you can always add grades, type everything in, do save and next. Transfer of rights, that's not needed, so we'll mark it not needed. So if you select yes for this, then does the child's behavior impede his or her learning or that of others? Then if you select yes, then you can type in whatever you need to type in. Does a child have limited English proficiency? If you select no, then you don't get that text box. And then you can select each of these. And then specially designed and statement of design devices and services. And I can select see specially designed services. Okay. So now when I go back, I can see what's been done and what hasn't. These are in progress because I didn't click complete. This one I selected not needed. So it says not needed. And you can see that Melissa Callahan, who is me, made changes. She modified here, completed these, so you can see what's been done and what still needs to be done. Goals and objectives still works, it works the same way as the other one with the new button. So I can, when I'm finished, oh, here's my annual goal, method of measurement, and you can select more than one here. You can select or you can type or both. And then you can create an objective by clicking add. And you select the sequence and objective. So again, if I select save and stay, it will keep me on this goal. If I don't like what I typed, I can select delete. I can do, if I do save, it takes me back to the landing page for goals and objectives. So I can select a different one. If I do save and next, it actually saves it and takes me to the next editor. Now, again, if I click complete, it's going to tell me you have to save it. So this motion, save, complete, might become your friend. Supplementary aids and services. So you type whatever you need here. This cannot be marked not needed. So accommodations, this is where you would select accommodations. If you don't need accommodations, you say ARC determined no accommodations needed. It can't be marked not needed. Sorry, because the ARC has to discuss it. Alternate assessment, again, can be marked not needed. It still works the same way that it did. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing because it's really long. But basically, remember that this has additional pieces to it, right? So if I say yes and yes, then I select if yes to both, then participation criterion 2 pops up. And then the same thing is true. If I select that, participation criterion 3 pops up. And obviously you would not be doing this in an ARC meeting. You would actually be talking about it. And then, let's see, if yes to both. And then this one right here, for those of you who are wondering how we determine based on the IEP, if a student is eligible for alternate assessment, this is the one right here. Yes, all participation criteria, number 1 through 4 are answered. Yes, the student is eligible in the Kentucky alternate assessment. Continue with the documentation below, and then you would continue. So just letting you know. I am going to cancel because I really don't want to do this because I want to show you something else. So when I said the student isn't eligible, I'm going to mark that not needed, and then I'm going to move on. Then the learner characteristics inventory is not needed. If the part that I showed you is not selected, then this will say not needed. So just for those of you who are wondering how we do that. And the learner characteristics inventory has been, a lot of people have asked questions about it because some people think they have to do it anyway. So now it's not even an option. So here's supports and modifications. Just going to close out of this and say not needed this time. Save, complete. Least restrictive environment. Again, these are not needed. These cannot be marked not needed. So this is for special education services. Again, you've got the same options in your save button. So the only service available is special education. The service position can be selected here. It's going to be special ed teacher. The location will be whatever classroom. And then this is minutes, 5 minutes, twice a day. Yes, I'm making that up. So you can say save. And again, you can delete it or go back, complete. And these are the related services. So physical therapy, physical therapist, whatever. Okay, so this works the same way. And you can actually type this in twice a month. So save a new, and I can create a new one. So you can start typing it and it'll pop up. And when I click save, it takes me back to the landing page for this, and I can complete and move on. Extended school year. So this one, this is the only one where it gets a little confusing with the yes and no, and not confusing, but there's a drop down here. So it's just different. And then this takes me back to the front. So now if I try to lock this the way it is, it's not going to let me because I haven't completed everything. So this document cannot be locked until all sections are marked complete or not needed. So I have to go back in and mark them complete. Now, I have had some people complain about this, but I really think it's a good thing because you want to make sure that things aren't finalized until they're final. So you don't want to accidentally lock things before you're ready. And this gives you a chance to go back and double check and make sure everything is appropriate. And it doesn't take that long. It's annoying, but it doesn't take that long because you see me doing it right here. And I'll be done in just a minute. And there we go. So that's the IEP. And then let me just kind of walk you through some of the other documents. Do the conference summary. And I'm not going to go through each one of these this long. I will tell you again that there are the data standards that are available, and you'll have the link to those. We do have a video of the conference summary, I think is the one I did, on that same page that has the data standards. And I'm recording this, and I will put it out there. So I'm making as many resources available to you as possible. I'm going to try to create more videos for each of the documents as well. So this one, again, you have to go to the header first and you have to select something. If it's at the parent's request to discuss something, you can type this in here. If it's something else, you can type that in there. I'm going to do save and next. Okay, again, click refresh, and you have to click refresh after you click save. That's important. And these, this parent guardian information, and I really think is just there for, it's a new editor, and it's really just there for reference. I've had some questions about it, and if you don't mark the guardian checkbox or whatever, and it doesn't show up, I don't think it's a big deal. It's really just there for your district to use. So the manifestation determination form can be marked not needed. Or if you are doing a manifestation determination form, you can use the state one. You can answer these questions here. Or if you use your districts, you can use the districts and then make sure you upload it and attach it. If you don't need it, you can select no and put in notes. Or I can say not needed. And it's going to tell me because I selected things, I can't do that. So I'm going to say leave. And then so basically what that did was said, we're not saving the information you entered, but I didn't want this information saved. So if you're doing this for IEP, if you're not doing this to develop an IEP, I should say, you can just select an IEP has not been developed, reviewed, or revised. I've gotten some questions about this. sometimes you're not discussing an IEP. We're working on getting this selected, getting this as an option for not needed. That's going to take a while because it's not at the top of our priority list, because really you can just check this and move on, and it's not a big deal. So, but we have heard you, and we are working on that. Okay, for this one, again, this is another one where people have said we didn't have to do this in the past, and again, we're working on this for the requirement, to do away with the requirement. But for now, I would select either accepted or rejected. If this is for a referral, if you accepted the referral and are going to move forward, I would say accepted. Otherwise, I'd select rejected, and then just say referral and move on. Except you gotta spell it right. It's helpful if you spell it. Referral. Okay. Notice of aging out can be marked not needed. If the student, depending on the age of the student, this one can be marked not needed. This one cannot be marked not needed, but you can just select not identified. But it is something that should be discussed. So here's where I'm going to talk about initial versus reeval. This is an important piece of information, and really it's not that big a deal on the conference summary, but when you're doing the, actually I'll wait and talk about it for the consent, because there's a lot of questions, there are a lot of questions about initial versus reeval. Okay, so if I select developmental delay, then this drop down here opens up so I can select what the areas are. And I can select whatever here. So if I select, the same is true for specific learning disability, these opened up for me, so I can select items here. If I did not, so for example, if I do away with specific learning disability, then that just goes away. If we need additional interventions, then this text box pops up. If I select other, this text box becomes available. Okay. Okay, the ARC. So what you can type in mom. I'm gonna say fake mom. Fake dad. And then down here, I can select somebody from the student's team. So I can select the counselor. That would actually be somebody's name, but this person's name is the counselor. And then I could select fake teacher and link that. I can add another one. I can say fake grandma. And say grandparent. I'm just making things up as I go. So, and then when I click save and stay, you see all these down here. If I select save, all you see is fake mom and fake dad. You don't have the extras. However, when I print it, and this takes a minute, I apologize for the slowness. They're down here. So the counselor, so it shows up on the print version. and then document parent concerns and input and notes. And these will become unlimited, hopefully next week, like for real unlimited, not 8,000 characters unlimited. So that it is required that you document parent concerns. So this can't be marked not needed. Okay, so that's the conference summary. I'm gonna move on. Well, I'll go ahead and do the referral, I guess. It's short. The referral, again, these are the same as they were in the conference summary. The general education teacher should automatically populate when you click refresh, but my fake student doesn't have a fake teacher, so tried. So you can select the primary mode of communication for the parent. And again, this editor will auto-populate when you click refresh, so the case manager information will be on here. So tier intervention data, this functions just like the others with the new. So you can do tier 1, like duration and frequency. Frequency of service. 5. Okay. And then, I'm sorry, I meant to do save and new. So if I do save and new, it takes me back so I can select a different one. And there are some requirements. You can type in the date or you can select it. Major areas of concern, the same. So these you've all seen. Pretty much how they work. Okay, so that's the referral. It was quick. Consent for evaluation. A couple of things I want to talk about on these. Consent for evaluation. So this, you have to put in the ARC date. That's today, the evaluation type, initial versus reeval. So the initial evaluation, if a student, the definition of initial evaluation is when a student is not currently receiving services. So if the student is receiving services right now, like let's say, for example, for speech, and you want to evaluate for a different disability category, that would actually be a reevaluation. It would be an initial determination, which I will show you when we get to the eligibility document. But for initial evaluation, this means a student isn't currently receiving services. And it is very, very, very important that when you select initial evaluation here, that you enter the date of consent for initial evaluation. The Indicator 11 report for the 60-day timeline that the doses have to fill out, this is where they get the date for the start of the timeline. It has to be filled out. Otherwise, it will show up as an error on the report. That's really annoying to the directors of special ed. Because they have to go in and enter all those. They have to unlock them and they have to enter it, lock it back. So it's extremely important that you put in a date for this and an accurate date. And if you want this, this right here, if the parent signs consent and then revokes consent, you want to put that here. You want to put the date here. If you put in the date here, then it'll show up on the report so it doesn't look like the student is over the 60-day timeline. Also important. Or your dose. Be nice to your dose. They work hard. Okay, so again, refresh. These all look the same as they did in the other documents. This looks the same as it did in the other document. Down here, these check boxes are still here. They're still check boxes. Then we're back to the header. So the header is the most important thing here to keep in mind. We use this a lot. And then the evaluation, eligibility determination. So here, again, if the student is not currently receiving services, you're going to select initial evaluation. If they are currently receiving services, you're going to select reevaluation. If they are transferring in from another state with an IEP and you just need to get them into Infinite Campus so they can pull on reports, that's where you're going to select transferred. You'll still have to do the evaluation for Kentucky eligibility. But this just tells us that the student moved in, they're receiving services based on their IEP from the sending state. I'm just selecting. All these are the same. Multidisciplinary report. I want to show you this because here's my evaluation report. So I can click on that and I can do whatever I need here. You can italicize things. You can bold things. You can indent. You can even underline or do superscript or subscript or clear all formatting altogether. So you can go in and do this, or you can just upload it, which a lot of districts do. If I do save and new, then I go in here and notice the evaluation report is gone. And now I've got all the others that I can select. So once you've done one, it won't be available the next time. And if you want to remove it, if you put it in by accident and you want to delete it, you can select delete. So the educational one is gone. Okay. And then if I click cancel, it takes me back to the landing page for this. Review of records. So if you're not doing a review of records, you can select not needed. The eligibility form. This is what pulls into the, this is not what pulls in, never mind. These are the actual eligibility forms. Okay, so let's say the student is currently receiving speech services. And so you're going to go ahead and evaluate for speech again. So you're going to select redetermination for speech because they're currently receiving speech services. We're just doing a review. So you can go ahead and fill out whatever you need to fill out here. And then I can do save and new. And now I'm going to do a different one. And I am now going to review for specific learning disability. So this one will be an initial determination because he is not currently receiving services for specific learning disability. So this is initial. This is a new determination. And you can fill out whatever you need to there. And this is the one that pulls into the IEP. This is the date that pulls in, and the primary disability that pulls in. If a student doesn't have a disability, you want to select this, but make sure again that you select the date. If the disability is specific learning disability, you can select which area down here. If it's speech, again, you select which area here. If it is multiple disabilities, down here, you're going to select. And I think this was a speech one. Oh, specific learning disability. Okay. And so that has to be unlocked before you try to pull it into the IEP. And I think that's all the documents.